start with the variables. So variables are very important in Python programming language. Variables are there in all programming languages like C, C++, Java. Here also in Python programming we have variables. So let's see how we can actually use them for our own purpose in the Python programming, right? So we are going to see how, first we are going to see how to print something on Python. So for that we have this print statement, and then in between this inverted comma you can write anything. So it will just print whatever you want to be printed. So hello Python world. So this is just a print statement. Now let us do the same thing using a variable. Okay, so let's try variable in a program. Add a new line at the beginning of the file and modify the second line. So let's do it. Let's print the same thing, hello Python world, in terms of variable. So here message is the variable, and in this variable we have actually, we want that this variable should print hello Python world. So whatever is happening over here, same thing will be happening over here, but here we are using a variable, and in this variable we are storing this string, and then finally with the print statement we are printing it. So let's see whether 2 times hello Python world is getting printed. Here exactly 2 times hello Python world is getting printed. Next we are going to see if we can add something, some new line at the beginning of the file. So the file that we have stored over here is python crashcourse.py. So instead of that, if we can do that, so here hello Python crash course world, so you have slightly changed the message, which is a variable, and that I'm going to print. That also should happen very quickly. So hello Python crash course world. So next we are going to see the strings. So in strings, Python, in every language strings are there. Strings are nothing but the combination of characters. So a string is simply a series of characters, and anything inside quotes is considered a string in Python. So in Python, one thing is very special, that you can either use double quote or you can use single quote, but it has to be in a pairwise fashion, and inside this pair of strings, double quote or single quote, you can write whatever you want. It will be treated as a string. So this flexibility allows you to use quotes and apostrophes within your string. In fact, you can write a big sentence as well. Let us say, if you want, Python is my favorite language, if you want to print that also you can do in a string. Only thing is that here one single inverted comma, here one double inverted comma, and in between this you can give. Okay, so strings can be handled in Python in an easy way compared to other programming language. So next we are going to see changing case in the string with methods. So one of the simplest tasks you can do with the string is change the case of the words in a string. Look at the following code and try to understand what is happening. So here, name, we have written Ada Lovelace. Okay, so this Ada Lovelace, if you write title case, so it will be displayed in terms of title. That means first letter will be capital letters. So if we can, so we are handling strings, so let us write here string. Okay, so here it is a title case, that too inside a print statement. So these are variety of way we can actually handle these strings. So here the strings that we have initialized is Ada Lovelace, and here we are actually invoking one function which is called title. So just that these two strings will become a title case. So let's run it, we'll understand that. So you can see that A has become capital and L has become capital. So this is a title case. Okay, now combining or concatenating the string, that also is possible. Combining and concatenation of string is also possible. Let's see how to combine and concatenate. So here it is a combining and concatenating the string. So this course is a crash course, so I'll be moving little bit faster. So here first name is Ada and then last name is Lovelace. So here you can see that first name plus, so this plus sign is responsible for concatenation, and then in between one blank and then plus again and then last name. So this will be that means here Ada Lovelace will be printed. Okay, so this is concatenating two strings using this plus sign. Okay, using this plus sign. So if you run this and then you see Ada Lovelace, so this has been concatenated, right? If you don't give here this double quote, then what will be printed? So then there is an error. So double quote is must, remember that double quote is must. And if you don't give the plus sign also, you in this case also you will get an error. So both are must, right? Both are must. So if you give only one plus sign, then let us see what will happen. So that also is happening, but the thing is that here Ada, after that no blank space is there. So Ada, so you have to just do that. Sorry, so here plus and then double quote and finally again another plus, you have to put, that's all. So it will print both the string concatenated, right? Next, what we are going to see, Python uses plus sign. So here in the concatenation, this Python uses plus sign. If you have seen this here, this plus sign is responsible for concatenation, remember that. So Python uses the plus sign, plus symbol to combine string, combine on or concatenate, whatever you want you say. In this example, we use plus to create full name by combining the first underscore name, a space and a last name. Okay, and giving the results. So here first name and last name, same thing. Now if you want that the name will be printed in terms of title case, so you have to just a little bit, you have to change the code with the title case. So here you are again calling the title function. So let's run it. Everything is same, only here we have this full underscore name dot title and then concatenation. So hello and then full name, which is the first name plus last name, which is already being added over here, will become a title case. That means first letter will be capital. You see hello, comma is given here, comma, and then Ada Lovelace, and this A and this L has become capital letter. Okay, so this is there. Next we are going to see the list. So what is list? So list is vital in Python. Okay, it's like array. In C programming we have array, and in C++ also we have array. In Python we have list. So list is very vital because it stores the information, any kind of information, like it can be integer, it can be character, okay, it can be strings, it can be floating numbers. So list is a collection of items in a particular order. You can make a list that includes the letter of the alphabet, the digits from 0 to 9, or the names of all the people in your family. So let's say I'm going to define a list called bicycle, and then I'm going to print it, and then finally I'm going to access the first element of the list using bicycles 0. I mean, and the index is 0. So let's see if it works. So first of all, here I'll change this thing I'll write here list, and then finally I'll change this program. So this is the list, and this is how we should write list. We should actually define list. So these brackets are necessary, and here whatever you write, you just separate them, that entity with the comma, and if it is string, you put a single quote or double quote, doesn't matter. Now here you can access that using 0. Okay, so using 0 you will be accessing this one, using 1 you will be accessing this one, using 2 will be accessing this one, using 3 you will be accessing the last element. So if you run it, you will get the answer. You see trick, and then other members of the list have been displayed. Some list in case of dictionary, in case of what else, this one set, the index always starts from 0. So this is the 0th index. So if you print bicycle 0 means this track will be displayed. Okay, so let us delete this one. So track has been displayed. So by this way we can actually access any strings. Okay, now individual values from a list, you can use individual values from a list just as you would any other variable. For example, you can use concatenation to create a message based on a value from the list. Okay, so bicycle is this and then message is this. So in between we are accessing the list element and we are printing that element alongside other strings. Okay, with the title function included, extended. Okay, so this you can do. So my first bicycle was trek. So my first bicycle was so this is bicycle 0. That means this one has been taken care of. Trek dot title, and that too in title format it will print. Okay. So this is the various way you can access list, and then we can change, you can add, you can remove element. If you remember how to remove element, how to change element in a list. So here we have at the 0th position Honda. Okay, that we want to replace with change it Ducati. Okay, that we can do. Only thing is that motorcycle 0 at this position you have to include Ducati. So if you do so, it will be nothing but this. So initially it is Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and later on it is Ducati. Honda's place has been occupied by Ducati. So this is how we can change the element inside the list. Okay, how to add? For adding list we have to use this append function. So this append function is responsible for adding. Let us say I am going to add Ducati. By default it will be added at the end. So motorcycle dot append equal to Ducati. So if you run it, then you see Ducati has been added over here, right? So this is how list works. Okay, and then removing list, you remember, if you recall that removing list, we have this del function. Okay, so del function for removing list. So here the 0th element, that means Honda will be deleted. So you see Honda has been deleted, right? Yamaha and Suzuki existing, that means 0th element has been deleted. Okay, now for deletion we have pop function also. Okay, so pop function also does, let us run it, we'll understand how pop function works. For deletion purpose we have many things in Python. Okay, so sorry, not this one, pop this one. Okay, this one, yeah, pop for removing. So this is the, and we are popping here, right? We are pop motorcycle dot pop function you have called over here. Let us see what it prints. Print motorcycle. So this is the actual list, and this is the popped after popping the element, whatever the element you meant. So here Suzuki has been popped. Okay, Suzuki, that means by default the last element is getting popped. Okay, and then you have other functions as well, like sorting a list is there, sorting a list. So only thing is that you have to use sort function for that. This is a car, and this is how the sort function works. So it will be sorted based on the alphabetical order. Okay, fine. And then we have reverse function. We are not showing the reverse function, otherwise I can type quickly. Reverse function is just, it will reverse the string. Okay, so it's completely reverse the string. Finding the length of the string, for that important function len function is there. Okay, so it will just give you the length of the string. So length 1 2 3 4. So length of the string, it's not giving length of the string. Why? Okay, len cars, I think print four, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so this is length of the string. And then after that we have after this list we have this looping concept, if you remember. So how to operate with the for loop? So looping through the entire list, we can go through it with for loop. So here you can see for loop magicians. This is a list of strings For magicians, in magicians, print this. That means using for loop we can do it. Only thing is that you have to give this colon. Okay, so I think it will be in Python we have to maintain the indentation, otherwise it will give an error. Okay, magician is not defined. Okay, sorry, so magicians has to be defined. Okay students, so I hope it will work. So you see all three members has been displayed using magicians. So here indentation is a case in because Python is case sensitive, indentation sensitive, so you have to maintain the indentation. So here one gap should be there. Okay, either you put a tab or something, and here you don't forget to put this semicolon. Okay, then don't forget to have indentation. Okay, and then in loop we have another concept which is called range, which goes along with loop, while loop as well as for loop. So range function, okay, so you see range function normally used for numerical values. Range function normally used for numerical values. Okay, using the range function. So here okay, so here you see for value in range, so this range function we have this numerical value. Most of the times it will be dealing with numerical value. Okay, so you see here 1 to 5 will be displayed, so it is 1 2 3 4 5. By default it will print new line wise. Okay, and also using range function you can print a list of numbers. I am not going into that. Let us say if you want to print the even number, that option is also there in the Python range. The only thing is that starting and ending value you have to give, and then how much value it will be incremented. So if you give by default 2, then it will be printed even number 2 4 like that. Unexpected error. Okay, print even numbers. Yeah. Yeah, it is printed. Okay, so here it is giving some indentation error. Okay, and then we have minimum function, maximum function, and summation. Okay, so these three functions already available and that can be operated. So we can call it simple statistics with list. Okay, minimum, maximum, and summation. So we have to display this. Okay, so only thing is that you have to display here print min. Let us display the minimum one. So it's not printing. Why? Sorry. Digits. Okay, so it will print the minimum one. So 0 is the minimum, it has printed. Similarly, it will print the maximum and it will print also the summation. Okay, then there is a concept called list comprehension. I think you remember in your Python programming this was there. List comprehension is nothing but a list comprehension allows you to generate the same list in just one code. Okay, so just one code. So let's say I am making a list of squares. List comprehension. Okay, list comprehension squares. Okay, so here what I am doing, value square, that means here square, you know the double star 2 means is square only, so it will 1 to 11 everything will be squared and it will be printed. Let's run it, we'll understand then. So in the same list we have 1 4, because it has start from 1 and then it has gone up to this, up to 10 it will go. Okay, not 11, up to 10, 1 4 like that it will go, 1 4 3 16 5 like that, because it has started from 1, then 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, like that it will go. Okay, fine. And then slicing, you know how to deal with slicing with list. Slicing means 0 to 3, 0, 1, 2, it will display this 3, 0, 1, 2. Okay, third one it won't display if you remember. It will ignore the third one. 0, 1, 2 it will display. Looping through the slice, looping through a slice. Okay, so looping through a slice means here the first 3 players on my team. So looping through a slice, similarly it will you can also access the looping through a slice. Okay, I have taken players here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players, and then I am printing them title case wise. Okay, and then it will start by default I think from 0 and it will go 0, 1, 2. Let us run it. I think there is an error. Okay, so loop why, sorry. So here are the first 3 players on my team. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so looping through the slice. And then next we have this concept tuple, if you remember. So what is the difference between tuple and list is that in case of list we can change it, but in case of tuple you will want to create a list of items that cannot change. So if that is the case, then you should use tuple. The accessing the tuple is same. The way we should access tuple, it is same. Okay, same like list, by indexing only you have to do. So dimension one tuple I have made, which is having 2 values, 215. So I am printing these 2 values. So this is tuple. Only thing is that in tuple you have these 2 brackets, open brackets and close brackets, which is slightly different from list. Okay, looping through the tuple also possible. Only thing is that you have to write for loop here. Looping through the tuples, dimension this, so it will print all tuples. Okay, print statement is wrong, I guess. Okay, now it will print. So indentation gives lot of error. Okay, 250. Then we have this conditional statement, students. If you remember, if and else. Okay, conditional statement, if else. So here I have taken a list. If car equal to BMW, print BMW in uppercase. If car equal to not BMW, then lowercase. Okay, so you see here, fine, this is the output. So BMW is uppercase, Audi is also uppercase. Okay, fine. Okay, then we can have if else, if elif else chain. This is also a possibility. I am not going to show you that. Elif is also there, elif, and then you can have finally if else ladder. Okay, then finally we have this dictionary. Dictionary is very important in Python programming. We have dictionary. So in dictionary what happens, we have it is in dictionary. And what is the difference between dictionary and list? Basic difference between dictionary and list is that in case of list you can have either have integers or floating numbers inside the list, or maybe strings or whatever combination. But here there is no boundings in case of dictionary. Dictionary, the structure of the dictionary is this is key, this is value. Only thing is it has been separated by this colon. Okay, key value, anything can be key, anything can be value. There is no boundings, and you can catch hold of the whole elements from the dictionary using this key. Okay, so that is interesting. You do not have to be always integer or always floating or something. You can have anything as a key. Only thing is that mapping should be there. Key to value mapping should be there. So next we are going to see how to access the element within a dictionary using keys, and also let us take the help of a loop. So here I have used a for loop, and then this print statement. using title case, this title function, we are going to print it in title case. So this is how we have defined our dictionary. So if you execute this program, then so here if you execute this and run it, and then you see here Jane, Sarah, Edward and Phil, all four have been displayed. So these are nothing but keys. Okay, these are nothing but keys. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Next we are going to see how to take user input. Okay, so how to take user input. Now how to take user input. So user input, so taking user input is vital. We have to take input dynamically from the user. For that we have this input function. So this actually varies from Python 3.9 and 2.7. 2.7 we have raw underscore input, and here it is only input. So by default Python takes string as a input. If you mention specifically that it is to be integer, then you have to mention it, you have to typecast it, otherwise it by default it takes string input. So no problem here, these both will be tell me something and I will repeat it back to you. Let us say hello, how are you, and let us say fine, and then it is not printing anything. Let's have a print statement over here. See here I'm just writing hi. Okay, and then again run this program. You will see that hello, tell me something, and I will repeat it to you, hello, and then hello has been printed, and then hi has been printed. Okay, so here here if I want that it is to be integer, so I have to define it as integer here. So it is like a typecasting. So and then you have to print that integer number. Okay, so that's also, if in this case, so let us remove this one. So here specifically I am taking input as user input. Okay, user input as integer. So let us say hello, how are you, 5. So 5 has been displayed. So by default it is string. You can also take here float input. Let's say float, enter some number, and enter some number. So and then enter some number. Okay, enter age, fine, no problem. So we just number, let us say 25. So here 25.0, it is a floating number, right? You can take other floating number also. So this is how you have to take input, user input in Python. So next we are going to see the while loop. We already have discussed for loop earlier. Let's take an example of while loop. So in while loop, what happens, you have to be careful about the indentation, right? And in any loop we have three conditions. One is the initialization, another one is the termination, and then incrementation and decrementation, right here. And then you don't forget to put colon over here. See here 1 to 5 has been displayed. So this is the counter which is incremented every time by 1. Either you write count current underscore number equal to current underscore number plus 1, or you can write like this also. Next we are going to see how to deal with function in Python. Okay, so function. So first, so we'll see how to, first we'll see how function works in Python. Okay, so here in this def keyword is important in function. You have to have write this def keyword, and then whatever the name of the function you write, and don't forget to put colon over here, and then print whatever you like. Okay, you do whatever you like to do. This is the calling part of the function. We are not passing anything, right? If you run it, then you see simply hello. Okay, some problem, I think the indentation problem. Let us remove this one, and now it will work, I suppose. Okay, let's see. Hello has been displayed. Now if you want to pass something in this while calling the function, if you want to pass some argument, that's a single argument. So let's say passing information in a function. Passing information in a function. In this process we are just passing here Jesse as an argument, and that has been printed. With that concatenation we have printed it. So this is a single argument. Next we are going to see whether we can pass more than one argument or not. Next, let us say if you don't know how many arguments will be passed into the function, in such situation what to do. Okay, let's say this is the situation we have. This function greet user actually expecting so let's say here I am actually passing one argument, but in this function actually expecting two arguments. Okay, so in this case what will happen? So we'll get an error stating that greet user missing one required position argument user 2, that is missing. So in that situation what to do? In that situation what to do? So in that situation what we can do, we can actually take one argument and then we can have this star. Okay, we don't know how many arguments actually will be passed. So to avoid that situation, let us take star. So what you can call it to solve this issue, so we can write like this. So when we do not know how many argument will be passed, in that situation we can use this star operator and then the name of the variable. So and then here we are passing 3 arguments and we actually don't know how many arguments we actually be passing in the argument section. So we can write, let us, I have taken 3 strings, Deep, Robin and Hamid. So the username is plus username underscore 1 2, that means Hamid will be printed 0 1 2. If you execute it, Hamid will be printed. So if you write the index as 0, in that case Deep should be printed. So that is what this and then if you type here 2, then Hamid will be printed, and if you type here 1, then I think Robin will be printed, right? So this is how it happens. So if you don't know how many arguments will be passed, that situation you can handle with this star operator, okay, in the argument section. Next we are going to see passing a list as an argument. Okay, so whether you can pass a list as an argument, yes we can. You can send any data types of argument to a function, string, number, list, dictionary, etc., and it will be really treated as the same data type inside the function. Okay, as per example, if you send a list of an argument, it will still be a list when it reaches the function. Let's say this is my function, and let's run this function. We'll understand it. So in this function you can see that we are going to pass this language, which is a list, and in this language 3 strings have been passed, which are Java, Python and C++. Sorry, this one won't be there. So and then this is using for loop. We are going to print these 3 strings. So you see Java, Python and C. So basically here we have passed a list itself, which is language, list language. Okay, that we are passing into the my function, my underscore function. So this is how we can actually pass a list. What further you can do with the function? We can actually I mean, in function it is also possible that function can return a value. Okay, so for that you have to use this return keyword. So here you see definition of function X, and here I am adding, only addition is happening, and that value will be returned every time this function is being called. So here print function 6, print function 7, print function 8. That means every time 6 plus 5 11, 7 plus 5 12, and 8 plus 5 13 will be displayed. Let's run it. So 11 12 13, this is how you can return the function. So here function is returning the value. For that you have to type this return keyword. Okay. Next, what you can do with the function, we have this one keyword which is called pass, which does nothing when function does nothing. That means the pass statement in the function, function definition with no content. So if you have pass, so with no content, nothing it will do, simply it will but it will execute successfully. You see, it has been executed successfully, but it is doing nothing. It is no content. The function is having no content in its definition. Okay. What else we can do in the function? Next, we are going to see the recursive version of the function, recursive function. So you know that recursive function, basically when function calls itself, is called a recursion. So recursion function is used for data structure, because it is up to the programmer that he or she uses the recursive function or not. But iterative process is in complex programming, where these trees, data structures and other things are there you cannot use this iterative method. You have to use this recursive function. So let us write here. This function actually is a recursive function. When function call itself, in this recursive function we are actually trying to print the factorial of a number. So you know how factorial is getting calculated. So that we are going to do using recursive function. So recursion or recursive function, finding factorial of a number. So you see what we have done actually. So every recursive function will be having a termination point from where it will start returning the value. Okay. So here we are entering a value, and then we are passing that number, and then it calculates. So if it is 1, it returns 1. Otherwise, you know that factorial logic is that fact x into factorial x minus 1. So every time this function is calling itself. So initially it has started calling factorial, definition is factorial x, and inside it is factorial x minus 1. So function is calling itself. Okay, function is calling itself. Here the first call happens, and then once it gets into the definition, second call happens from here, and then it will go and it will terminate when return is equal to x is equal to 1. Okay, it will terminate, it will start returning the value. Let us run this program. Let's see if it works. So if enter the number, let's say we are taking 5. So 5 is factorial of 5 is 120. So it is exactly working properly. So this is how the recursive function works when function call itself. Okay. Next, what we can do? Next, we are going to see the classes. Okay. So we have actually gone through a more or less, we have touched upon all the topics in function in Python, and then we'll see how these classes are being handled in Python. Python is a quite popular language in terms of classes. Python programmer uses classes very frequently. Java is also supporting this class, but I would say that Java is little bit has edge in terms of handling classes and all. But nonetheless, Python is also very much supportive towards class, and then other added features of classes like inheritance, and then other things. So let's first see how can we write a class in function. Okay, how can we write a class in Python environment? Okay, so you see in class what happens is that okay, so in class what happened, you have to start with the class definition. Like in case of function, you have function def. Here in class you have this class keyword. You have to write this class keyword, and then in class we are in a need of this init function, which helps us to instantiate the objects and all. And then we have this self keyword. Okay, this self keyword is there. Well, what this self keyword does is that this self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class, and is used to access variables that belongs to the class. Okay, so self parameter is reference to the current instance of the class. Okay, so here we are declaring the class definition using the class keyword. We need a colon over here, don't miss it. And then init function helps us for instantiation. Okay, this is we need init function we need, and inside the init function we have this self keyword. I already told you what self keyword is. It's a reference to the current instance of the class and used to access variable that belongs to the class. Okay, so here variables that are using that we are using are the arguments we are using, which is university name and total number of departments. So we are talking about a class, right? So class is the abstract data type, right? So it's basically inside the class we can write methods and all other things, and we can access class using objects. So here we are creating the objects variable object. Through using variable object we are actually accessing university name and total number of departments. So total number of departments and university and total number of university name, these two arguments are actually validated by this self parameter. Okay, now let's run it. So we are passing Caltech as a liaison to university name, and department we have 6 department, let's say. So Caltech and 6, these two are printed. So this is the basic definition of a class in Python. So classes in Python is a very powerful tool to deal with the large databases. Okay, and Python programmer used to refer class many times. Okay, so as we have learned class, let us see a little bit about how to handle inheritance. So in Python we have inheritance. So inheritance is the process by which, it's a method by which a child class is access the variables and the features of parent class. Okay, so that is the inheritance. So let's see. So we have few types of inheritance in Python. First one is a single inheritance, and then we have multiple inheritance, and then multi-level inheritance, and then hierarchical inheritance. These 4 types of inheritance we have. We'll see single inheritance first. So here is single inheritance. You see what is happening. So as I told you that inheritance is nothing but when the child class access the property of the parent class, that time it is called inheritance. So we are here, we are having a parent class, and there we are defining this, we are writing one statement which is I am in parent class, and this is a child class P1. It is inheriting the property of parent P1. So definition one class child, one self, and then we are I am in child class. Now I am creating here one object, child object, and then I am just printing the parent class member and child class member. Let us see if it works. So it is perfectly working. Both the print statement are getting displayed. One is I am in parent class and parent class 1, and I am in child class 1. Okay, so these two are getting printed. Next, let us see how multiple inheritance works. So in multiple inheritance, what happens when child class actually accesses the property of more than one parent class? That time it is called multiple inheritance. Okay, so you see here parent class is P1, and we have P1, P2, two parent classes are there, and this child class C1 actually inheriting the property of P1 and P2. And in parent class 1 I have one print statement, and parent class 2 I have two print statement, another print statement, and we are creating here object child underscore object of child class 1 of child class C1, and then through that object we are actually accessing parent class 1, parent class 2, and obviously the child class itself. Let's see if it works. So it is perfectly working. I am in parent class 1, which is from parent class 1, parent class 2, and then child class 1, right? Next we have another inheritance concept which is called multi-level inheritance. Okay, so in multi-level inheritance, what happens is that when this child class, more than one child class actually access the property of a particular parent class. So here parent class is P1, and we have two child class. One is child class C1 and child class C2. So child class C1 is actually accessing parent P1, child class C2 also accessing child class C2 should be accessing. Acha, here in case of multi-level inheritance, what happens when one child class accesses when one child in case of multi-level inheritance, what happens when one child class accesses the property of a parent class, and then that particular child class is again accessed by other child class, so that times one level happens, so that is called multi-level inheritance. Okay, so here child class C1 is accessing parent P1, child class C2 is accessing parent P2. That means it is a multi-level inheritance. Okay, and every time we are printing some statement inside this child class C2 and child class C1. Child class C2 is accessing the property of C1, C1 is accessing the parent class P1 property. So let's run it. So these two are being displayed. If we want to display the last one, that also you can do. We have to just simply write here child class 1, child class 2, and here you can also display child object dot one class in parent 1. By this process I can access the property of parent class 1, so it will obviously will be working, I suppose. So parent class 1, that means this one has been displayed, that is there, and then child class 1 and then child class 2. So I think in this course I have covered almost all the topic in a very short span of time. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and please consider to subscribe my YouTube channel. I put a lot of effort to prepare these quality videos. Okay, so thanks for watching. Thanks a lot.